Learning the behaviors and the patterns of the rhinos along with how to use the obstacles will make this map much easier to qualify on. The one rhino variant will allow us to analyze the behaviors and patterns of the rhino, which we then can apply to the 3 rhino variants. Really what this shows us, by virtue of the rhino moving around, we try to get far away from the center and onto the edges, and that's exactly what the rhinos are designed to do. Since the rhinos try to push us to the edges, it basically entraps us, so then we don't really have much where to go. Then the rhino can do its dash attack and then eliminate us. Also, another thing that the rhino can do is that it can use its light thrusting attack to push you more to the edge or try to push you off the map. Really, it'll only do its light thrusting attack if you're near the edges or if you're on the spinning disc in order to get you off of it. But we'll touch on that variation later in the video. We also know that the rhino uses its heavy dash attack to travel quickly from one side of the map to the other. Let's step away from the one rhino variation and look at the other things the rhinos are capable of doing. One of them being that's able to do its dash attack once, it'll then turn around and do it a second time immediately after. A double attack of sorts. From what I've been able to observe and gather, the rhinos are often split up. 2 rhinos will go to one side together, while one rhino will sort of free roam away from the 2 rhinos. It'll then lock onto someone near it or to groups of people who happen to be near it. If it does lock onto someone, it'll do its dash attack, and if you happen to dodge it, it might go for a second try shortly thereafter. Although at times you may see all 3 rhinos go to one side for a short time. Really, what we can learn from this is that while you should stay on the edge of the map and away from the rhinos, they'll eventually go to where you are anyways, so staying in one spot for too long isn't the play. The way the rhinos behave is pretty consistent from variation to variation. However, this doesn't really apply to the spinning disc variant. The rhinos don't do their heavy dash attack while on the disc. Instead, they'll do their light thrusting attack to get everyone off the disc. Then once it's able to get you off the disc, then it'll do its heavy dash attack. While staying on the edge of the map away from the rhino is a key strategy and should still be used, and it's something that I've said in my previous Stompin Grounds guide. What I will say now to start doing is, if you see a rhino about to do its dash attack and is about to come to your side, run down the center and go to the other side, or where the rhino currently is. And really in general, never be afraid to go to the center and onto the other side to where the rhinos currently are. If you see a rhino is about to hit you, dive to the sides so you can avoid that rhino attack. The rhino's attacks are pretty well telegraphed. You can tell a rhino's about to do its dash attack if you see its face about to turn red, and you can start to see smoke and sparks. Also, it'll usually stop in place for a second and ready the attack up. How often people die is that they get cornered at the edges of the map with nowhere to go. Panning your camera to where you can see where the rhinos are at all times is critical to qualify on this map. In general, having good map awareness is not only limited to this map, it can really help you in all the maps in Fall Guys, especially the hunt maps. I will say following behind a rhino is an incredibly risky strategy because of how fast it can turn around. But if you follow them from a fair distance, you should be fine. Nowadays, the rhinos are far more intelligent and far more aggressive, so definitely be very careful when doing this. Just make sure to pan your camera so another rhino doesn't just sneak up on you and hit you off the map. Stompin Grounds has multiple variations that add obstacles, and depending on the variation, you can do various things that make this map much easier to qualify on. Hex style variant. The strat I'm about to tell you is absolutely busted. What you need to do is you need to get on the hex tiles and perform double jumps. Essentially, the tile doesn't fully disappear upon touching it. The tile gradually fades, so you're able to jump on it a second time as it's fading away. Double jump on every single tile, and if you did it correctly, by the time you reach that last tile, the first tile should be respawning. You then get back on the first tile and rinse and repeat this process until you qualify. The tiles will respawn quickly, and it should take you about 13 or so seconds to double jump on all the tiles. Although I will warn you, if other people try to jump on the tiles while you're on it, this strat shouldn't be performed at all. I've literally spent an entire game doing this strat and qualified easily. If you get any value out of the video, consider subscribing. It's free and it helps the channel grow. Spinning disc variant. You might have heard that staying in the center is the best thing you can do, and while it is, the strategy has been significantly nerfed because rhinos do their thrusting attack to try and get you off the disc. And if you're off the disc, it'll go for its heavy dash attack. While the strat is still kinda relevant, I will still be careful with this and not really rely on this too much. The blizzard fan variants. There are 2 variants that contain blizzard fans. One where there's 1 fan on each side, and another where there's 1 fan on top and 1 fan on the bottom on each side. Let's start with the singular fan variation. If you run next to the fan, it won't blow you to the other side. Rather, you have to jump into the gust of wind in order for it to do that. What I recommend you do is use a fan as a way to blow you to the other side. You just jump into the gust and hold forwards. And in general, it's a great way to travel from one side of the map to the other. And as for the top and bottom fan variation, use a bottom fan to blow you upwards and use it as a way to position yourself to a safe spot or to jump over a rhino. No matter what blizzard fan variation you get, use the fans as a way to travel from one side of the map to the other, or use it as a way to jump over a rhino. Pan your camera constantly so you know where the rhinos are at all times. And if you see a rhino is about to do its dash attack in your direction, dive to the sides when you see it's about to hit you. But beware, it may try and do its dash attack a second time, so definitely be on the lookout for that. The more you practice and play this map, the better you'll get. So if you see an LTM or a limited time mode that contains Stompin Grounds, like Stompin Grounds Standoff, definitely use that as a chance to practice and apply these tips.